6-foot pair of pages, that is. You've got, like your page one, and if you've got 100 pages, well, the other page would be 100.
After that, they round up so you can fit it on the one.
Yes, especially with page one, we have a lot of open area, and being page one, we like to clean it up to give a presentable, clean finish. So it is lifted up at what we call a router area, locked onto the cylinder. This machine is a 4-headed router. It's a Swedish model, and you lock the 4 plates on and route simultaneously the 4 plates of the non-print area. This section here was why it's so such an obstruction on the floor. They couldn't put it into the floor. They couldn't chop through the floor, or it all would have fell down, so they had to sit it on the floor. It wasn't all our tracking system out here. It wasn't taken too well at the time, but it's worked pretty well. And then when you complete a routing, just return them to the track to move to the press. We didn't have an old tracking system once upon a time. We used barrows. Probably 12, 14 years ago, the tracks have been in. And before that, we had to push them right the way down to the presses where they were required on a barrow and return for a new load.
And that's from Monday 16, all of John Fairfax's publications, for example, the Sydney Morning Herald, Financial Review and The Sun will be on direct polymer plates. Although we have been doing the National Times on direct polymer for a few months, Monday will be the day for all of our the company's publications.
This is our last first edition produced with hot metal stereo plates. As you see, the date is Friday, April the 13th, but I assure you that from the Sun's point of view, there's nothing unlucky about today. We've looked forward to this day for a long time. Now, the latest change in technology to produce plates, to get away from the old plate making system of using metal and then fastening them to the presses, we now have a conveyor belt type of production system in which we have what we call direct printing. The plates start with us as words. They go through the photo composing area to be pasted up into pages. From there they're photographed. They go through what was the photo engraving section and the stereo section. There used to be 2 separate divisions. They're now rolled into one huge machine and come out the other end as a light, easily handled polymer plate, which is then fitted by a magnetic system to the presses, and away we go. Only the other day I was with the press room manager, Ken Shaw, and we were very worried about how the preprint, that's the colour preprint that we have here, how that would go on the presses. The presses started, and through that critical period of getting the registration right, he was standing there looking intensely at his press, and then it picked up speed and that familiar rumble came out. And Ken Shaw turned to me, he said, "The adrenaline still runs with me when I hear the presses rumble like that, doesn't it, you?" And he was really thrilled. He must have seen God knows how many million papers roll off those presses in 40-odd years, possibly more, in the news industry. And it's a noisy, dusty, inky area, but he was right there thrilled, excited about the production of his newspaper that day, and I presume every day. But what we hope to get out of the new system is that we will bypass a lot of these labour-intensive areas. We will have save on the process that has changed today 20 minutes. 20 minutes in the production of a paper is a very long time. And we hope that there's less chance for things to go wrong as far as getting it out and getting a good product out. I remember we had, when the day John Lennon was shot in New York, it happened, as often big stories happen, just after we'd finished our last edition run. All the guys had gone over to the pub, the ones that had gone home. We made a few desperate phone calls to the hotel over the road, and back came a stream of compositors. And they, while upstairs, journalists who didn't usually do the job were preparing a new front page. Downstairs, they were setting it up as best they could, and one of our leading compositors put his dust coat back on and started putting it in the page, bypassing some of the layout errors that the journalist had made in his haste to get the material downstairs. He put it together in what must have been a record time. He then pushed the film away, stood back, turned to me and said, "There you are, you do that on your bloody machines if you can."
Been here for many, many years. I've seen great many changes, some for the good, some for the bad. In the main for the good. I think the new systems we're going to start on Monday's publications, I think, will be a great advantage both to the company and to the men, because their working conditions will be far, far improved on what they are now.
I believe that more than one generation of your family's worked here.
Yes, actually, my great-grandfather started the stereotyping department in 1872. From that date, there's always been a member of my family in the employ of John Fairfax. As you have seen and told tonight, is the last of our hot metal era in the stereo found in, as you know, again, the date is the 40s. The end of an era, the end of a very large era, a very, very great era. Tomorrow is an entirely new beginning for the whole of the industry.
What's your name?
Name? Oh, Joe Mosley.
What do you do here, Joe?
Well, I'm the supervisor, the head, the delivery of plates to the machines, from the head to the machines. I've been since the inception down here, you know. And as I say, like years ago, we used to truck them round by hand, and then they put the railway lines in, and we've gone on from there. system. That's another new change, which we have seen a few changes in the years. Other blokes have seen the same changes, you know, and I suppose this is progress.
Tell us a bit about the railway, the detail of the system.
Well, you have points on the railway, which allows you to switch points over, like you do on a modern railway, and which will divert plates from one line to another, so that you can pick up the machines down the other line. Also, there's another spur line. Also, there's a return line, which goes to the remelt plot. And they shoot down to the remelt plot to get remelted, and the molten metal gets pumped up into the casting boxes. And from there, they remake new plates, and away you go again, all in one system.
And the system will be redundant after Sunday night.
Yes, I believe, yes, it will. We're going on for the new polymer printing plates.
Been working here?
Me? Well, I've been on the Sun 35 years. On the Sun, the Daily Sun newspaper. It was down the old building and this building. 35 years altogether. It's a fair long time, isn't it?
You're going to finish up here, or you?
Well, eventually I'll retire. Don't know when. I could go next week, could go 6 months. Could go in 2 years' time. All depends on how I feel.
Alright, fellas, please, now. A lot of you have worked with Keith and the staffies for a long while. You've nursed a lot of grievances. There have been times when, of course, the situation has been good between the office and the staff. Now what I would like you all to remember, that okay, as at from today, it's a change in life for all of you, particularly in your working life. And I in particular, Keith, for the liaison that you and the office have had with me, I would like to thank you. And I would also like to extend to all of you, as you probably appreciate, that I was responsible for the formation of the stereo, how would we put it? We have a stereo club, a stereotypist, we're an extinct bunch of people, and now as the Sydney Morning Herald, stereo department has now reached that extinct group of people. We invite all of you to join it, staff men, members alone. We ask you to bury the hatchet. We ask you to meet as friends every year. In particular, we ask the staff men to realise that we've appreciated a lot of the things that you've done to us. We haven't appreciated an awful lot of things a lot of the things that you haven't, but we certainly extend you and we thank you for all we've done. And Keith, thank you for the beer tonight. Thank you.